Sunday night hoops, and your basketball team is back at it, taking on the worst team in the NBA, the 0-5 Brooklyn Nets. Welcome to the PHLY Sixers pregame show on a Sunday live from the Xfinity Lounge. Derek, Kyle, Devon, Julie is in the house with us. All of you in the chat. We are presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. We'll get to our picks later on in the show. But first, we have to start off with, it's time to get right, Kyle. It's time to get right after a 4-game winning streak and another nail-biter at the arena on Friday night against the Boston Celtics, where the Sixers suffered their first loss by 1 point, 109-108. Things line up. Yes, they have a 3-game road trip, the first one of the season. However, they do get a chance to start off immediately with, as I said, the worst team in the NBA, the Brooklyn Nets, 0-5. They've been in a couple of games, but it's never really threatened to win these basketball games. And the Sixers cannot. Just don't play with your food, right? Don't mess around. Go out there.
Thank you for getting that one right, Devon.
Yes, I'm not Doc Rivers. I'm not Glenn. I know how to say it.
Thank goodness for that.
Yes. So, Kyle, with it, this is an opportunity for them to, yes, it was a frustrating loss. They were all in it. And even the ending was frustrating, not getting a shot off in regulation with 3+ seconds left to go. But a chance tonight against a really bad basketball team that gives up a lot of points for you to go out there and get back to your winning ways.
Yeah, it's a team that's bad enough that you should be able to accomplish multiple things. One, you got to come out of here with the victory, right? We already had our friend Mark Jackson in the chat said it's a scheduled win tonight, which is a very funny way of thinking about it, right? And I do think that is sort of correct because Brooklyn is bad. The Sixers are not. These are the types of teams, if you want to be a serious playoff team, and even more than that, you have to take care of business. But they also, tonight is a night where you need to you want to hope that the young guys can play a bunch of minutes, experiment, try some things out in terms of what they're running, how many minutes they're playing. We haven't had to worry about how many minutes VJ Edgecombe is playing, right? It's not like, oh my God, they're playing the Nets, got to get them 40 because VJ Edgecombe has been playing 40 minutes a night regardless. I look more to somebody like a Adem Bona, who his role has been kind of spotty. Even when Joel's not available, it's as simple as who's got it rolling tonight, who's playing a little bit better. Nick Nurse will ultimately roll with that player. Tonight's a night I basically need to see Adem Bona play 30-ish minutes or more. You got to let him play through some mistakes. He needs to rebound. He's got to not foul. He's got to do his best part to put himself in a position to do that. And take advantage of this opportunity to play a bad team where, yes, you're going to make mistakes. Yes, you won't be perfect, but the young guys should be able to go through some growing pains and still come out on the other side with a comfortable victory. We hope. I hope I'm not looking back at that in the next hour or two and thinking, boy, what was I thinking ahead of this game?
Yeah. Obviously, you want a lot from your young kids. You want to see some of them, like Adem, in a role that they're going to have an outsized role. You want to see them succeed. More than that, though, I just like Tyrese was talking after the last game about how they haven't put a full game together. And, pretty much all of the first 4 games, the third quarter was a disaster. Last game, it was the first quarter where they came out sluggish. I just want to see 4 quarters of good basketball tonight. Yeah. And this is a team in the Nets, worst defense in the league, a lot of young kids, a lot of young guards. They don't really have a prayer to defend right now, and they're going to turn the ball over, which will help get you out on the break. Sixers should be able to stay focused and execute for a good 4 quarters tonight. I don't want to see, we've obviously had a lot of comebacks lately. We've had a lot of close games down the stretch. This needs to be a comfortable win, in part for my own mental health, and that's always very important to us. But in part because, look, it's one loss. You don't want to make too big of a deal out of it. You want to see that bounce-back game. As Devon called, you want to see that get-right game. This is the perfect opportunity for it. It is as close as you will get to a scheduled win, at least except for when maybe you have some injury luck on your side. This should be one where you can execute and really not go home because you're not going home, but leave feeling good about yourself.
They've left feeling good about all these games, including you guys were there the other night, and that's a loss, but still the good vibes, everything felt pretty good overall with the way they played in these last 5. And you don't want to mess around, as we talked about before the season started, that, hey, you have to come out here and start to build up these wins. When we looked at the beginning of the schedule and we talked about what the schedule looked like, there's an opportunity for them to start to compile some wins. And, we jokingly say, continue to stack those wins, but we mean it just because of how we saw things spiral out of control last season when the stacked losses started to take place and the confidence was lost. But they've gained a lot of confidence here in these first few games of how they can play basketball, especially seeing a rookie come in and contribute the way that he has seamlessly with the rest of these veterans just walking right in and be a focal point of the offense and including the defense and what he does and how he impacts the basketball game. And some of the things that I said post-game to the VJ Edgecombe point of getting like 25 points tonight and seeing how the young guys play. When Rich and I were talking post-game, one of the things that I pointed out, as good as Edgecombe was again in that loss to Boston, I thought he was a little I thought when they took that first punch in the first quarter and they were down again, I didn't like how he reacted to the game early. Not that he was bad. I wanted him to do a little bit more of grabbing the basketball the same way we have seen him do so all the way back to Summer League and where he injected himself and responding to whatever the situation was. And he wasn't bad at all. He was still really good, even with the points that he had. And I just thought that early on, his body language looked as such of, I'm going to let these guys do their thing. I'm going to continue to make the right passes. But I also saw some opportunities where I felt he could have taken a bigger role in the early part of the game to get some of the points on the board that they needed. And yes, the ball has to go to Oubre and Embiid and Maxey, and even when Grimes checks in. But I wanted him to do a little bit more early. And that's something that he's going to continue to learn as a young player, as great as he has been for these first 5 games. He still has to figure some things out. So tonight, the objective is to go out there and just inject himself into the game immediately right away. Yes, the coaches can be a part of that. I even put some at the feet of Tyrese Maxey. He had 14 assists, and as a point guard, I still want you to get that young guy involved because that's the role of the leader on the floor as that point guard. And with that, I want to see VJ Edgecombe tonight come right out immediately like we saw gangbusters against the Boston Celtics in the first game, in the opening night game, and just go right at this Nets team because they don't have the defensive personnel to slow him down, to slow the backcourt down, and as a team, they don't have the personnel to do so.
So there are a few things there. One, I think VJ, very obviously, is when Joel and Maxey are on the floor together, that's the hub of the offense. That's who they are playing through, both of those. And when those two are running the DHOs, the pick and rolls, their two-man game, they are not really in a playmaking mode. It is very much just, I look to score or I look for the other guy and the second half of this partnership to score, and everyone else is just kind of lingering and lurking around us. And I think that if there is a weakness of those two as an offensive combination, it is that, because when they share the floor, there is not a lot of opportunity for other people. That's been true for VJ. That's largely true of a lot of guys they've played with. That doesn't mean that there's not time and touches for guys to get their opportunities throughout the game, but they are going to be the focal point to an extreme degree. I think there are a couple other things that happen there. One, and VJ talked about this in the locker room after the game, Boston played him a little bit differently. That's the first time he went through the second matchup with an NBA team where we discussed the fact that Boston dared him a little bit. He shot 13 threes in that first game and made 5 of them. And they said, okay, I guess we can't just concede shots to this guy all night. And they played a bit more pressure. They got into him. And his choice in some of those instances was get off the ball, find someone else. If pressure is on you, there should be an opening for someone else. And I largely like that mentality for him. But he will have to play through it at times. There will have to be times where pressure comes to you and you try to split it, or you just turn the corner with speed and navigate it that way. So that'll be a learning curve for him. The other part, and we're going to see this tonight, certainly this week as they have more back-to-backs, he's probably a little tired right now. This is a lot of minutes early in the season for VJ Edgecombe. Never played back-to-backs. He's never had to regularly play 40 minutes a game. He did mention it's been a lot, and I have to be deliberate and think a lot about recovery and diet and all these things coming out of these games. But he takes very good care of himself. He's very serious about it. So feel good about him going into this game and moving forward, of course. But I think those are a few reasons why even though he had a very good game, it's crazy to think like, oh, he had a down game and he had 17, 5, 5, 2 of 4 from 3, 7, 11 from the field. Like
Still protecting
incredible performance.
Yeah.
1 turnover
Yep.
the entire game. And that's a down night for him. That tells you how high the bar is that he's set so far.
Absolutely. All right, let's take our first pause of the day. We come back. When we get back, we'll talk about, Derek mentioned it, and we need to talk a little bit more about it, and that is playing a full 48, where you don't have the same nail-biting type of ending where we have to say that was an epic comeback. No more of that. Just go out there and win the basketball game. How can they play a complete basketball game against this Brooklyn Nets team? Also, update on Joel Embiid. He's out, but he's a little lighter in the pocket. We need to talk about that and his front court mate that is still out, Dominic Barlow, the latest on him, plus our Bet365 picks a little bit later. We'll do all of that here on the pregame show. Sixers Nets, that's a 6 o'clock start. We're discussing it right here on the PHLY Sixers pregame show. And folks, got to tell you about our presenting sponsor, and that is Bet365. Yes, whatever the moment's never ordinary at Bet365. Were you betting last night on that World Series game, Game 7, and how that whole thing was playing out? Up 4-2, then it was up 4-3 for Toronto. LA comes back. Did you feel the LA comeback? Did you make that wager? Well, if you did, you had a pretty good night, and you were one of the 90 million users worldwide like I am, as we'll give our picks a little bit later. But if you have not signed up yet and you need to get involved, well, first of all, let's tell you about the rest of the games going on here for the Sunday football. Place a $10 bet on the first touchdown score and get a split of $365. That's $365,000 in bonus bets if your player scores the final touchdown of the game. And that is, of course, for the Sunday night game as well. Monday night, we'll get to that tomorrow when we tell you about that one. But if you're a new customer, sign up right now. Get $300 in bonus bets when you bet $5. That's win or lose. Sign up using the code PHLY365. Deposit $10, place a bet for $5, and you get $300 in bonus bets. That's, again, win or lose. You're not getting that from anywhere but Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 plus and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
You know, I was listening to our show on the way home from the last game. I heard Rich talking about my subpar setup and how we were watching a game and it was lagging and buffering. And I was personally offended because Rich knows how much of a stickler I am for technology. And that if you call yourself a basketball fan, you have to have Xfinity to avoid all of that lagging and all of that buffering. It's the ultimate sports destination where I can find the best games and my favorite teams all in one place. The way that you watch is next level. Got all the action right in your living room, plus Xfinity's best picture and sound with enhanced 4K. It's so clear it feels like I'm in the arena. Top of that, you get real-time notifications and live stats right on your TV. It's best seat in the house every time. Next game day, make sure that big fan isn't a big fail. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Xfinity, imagine that. Restrictions apply. Multi-view requires Xfinity 4K capable TV box.
Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers pregame show. Sixers Nets coming up tonight. Hit that like button, everybody. We're here with you all evening long on a Sunday. Hit that like button for us. Let us know how we're doing. Jules is in here with us tonight. Julia doing a great job as always. Make sure you hit the like button, like and subscribe. Tell the people we're here. And it's the only place for you to get the postgame show right here on the PHLY Sixers postgame show as the clock hits 0. All right, let's get to the starters here tonight, and then we'll talk about the playing the full 48 and how the starters look. What does it look like here? Let's see. We have Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe in the backcourt, and you have Kelly Oubre, Jabari Walker, and Adem Bona getting the start there at the 5. Kyle, what do you think of the starting 5? Tonight against this Brooklyn Nets team?
It seems like Nurse has gone to Walker a few times now in the starting lineup since the Barlow injury, which probably should discuss this Barlow injury at some point before pregame is over. I think what I read most into out of this is that as good as Kelly Oubre has been, and he has been terrific, I do wonder if when Paul George is back, Nick Nurse is going to bump Kelly Oubre for a actual forward, because Nick Nurse does seem pretty intent on having, whether it's Barlow, Walker, whoever it might be, playing a bigger front court guy there, including two-way players over and over again. He's been reluctant to go to multiple wings. Now, granted, he doesn't have very many wings, and Justin Edwards has been really struggling here. But yeah, it really doesn't matter who they throw out here. To me, it should be VJ and Maxey, and that should be enough to beat this version of the Brooklyn Nets who drafted 100 different point guards this year. And honestly, if you go through the Nets' profile, I know this is pretty obvious because they haven't won a game. They're just not good at anything, right? They don't shoot the ball well. They don't defend well. They don't rebound well. They don't get to the free throw line. What would you say you do? Like, what is your calling card? What is your whole thing that you're supposed to be about as a team?
They take a lot of threes.
They do. And they make them at like an average rate. I think that they're right around 14th or 15th in the league in terms of raw percentage. I guess they're playing the Joe Mazzulla Boston Celtics game where, hey, if you fire up enough, maybe you have a chance. But they're just not good at anything. So who you start, who you bring off the bench shouldn't have that big of an impact on this game. I hope Jabari Walker settles in here, though, because he's been pretty up and down. Mm-hmm. I'd say mostly down during his minutes so far.
And it is, like, you bring up that starting lineup. And look, I know Kelly's been on a hot streak, but there's, your front court is, you've got two role players and one kind of guy who's been really, really hot, but you never really know exactly what you're going to get with Kelly. You need your backcourt to score a lot. And this should be a matchup where, I know VJ said the other day that comparison is a thief of joy. And a lot of people reacted like he made up that quote. Like, no, it's a pretty common quote. I'm not sure I 100% believe it. You've got two rookie guards here that he is going to have a chance to go against.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be up for this game. I think he has matchups he can exploit. And I think they need him. So this should be a big VJ night. I'm really looking forward to see how he responds.
So playing the full 48 against this team, the Nets are starting tonight in the backcourt, Terrence Mann with Cam Thomas. They'll also have in the front court Tyrese Martin, the local native, and Michael Porter Jr., Nick Claxton to fill out that front court tonight. So a couple of pros that we know can score the basketball, but also they can shoot you out of a game as well. So, Kyle, when you ask what do the Nets do, they lose because they're not a good basketball team, and the Sixers have a really good opportunity. So, Derek, when you mentioned playing a complete game and playing the full 48, we need to see it from front to back, both offensively and defensively, because defensively they haven't been good. They've done the right things in the second half after they dig their hole in the third quarter. They make a really good adjustment in the fourth, and they pick up their effort. And they did it again against Boston in that loss on Friday to lose by 1 point. But we need to see a better defensive effort for a majority of the game. It may not be there for the full 48, but overall the balance of it needs to be better, especially against a team like Brooklyn.
Yeah, and this really should be the opponent that you can do that. Like Brooklyn, despite having a ton of guards, doesn't really run a ton. They don't really put a lot of pressure on the rim. They'll shoot threes, but for the most part, they're not. I don't think. Look, I haven't watched every Brooklyn game. I don't think they're generating super high quality looks, which is probably why their 3-point percentage is relatively mediocre. This should be you should be able to, as long as you're focused. This is a team you should be able to execute against defensively. And like I said, at least leave here feeling good about yourself.
Well, yeah, if you just think about their personnel, two of the main guys who are going to be taking the most threes are Cam Thomas. A lot of those are going to be self-created. And more than likely, because they're self-created and it's Cam Thomas, they will be contested. They'll be tough. Michael Porter Jr. is not the same type of player in that he's not a guard, but he is not a passer, and he has never seen a shot that he feels a lack of confidence for. So a lot of contested threes are going up between those two. Now, that's not to say, like, look, they have some interesting guys for the long term here. One of these guards, presumably, is going to turn out at some point. Yeah. And it's just not now, right? They have to put together a game of basketball where they look like a competent team. The Sixers need to put together a full game of basketball where they look like a high-level playoff team for 4 quarters. That's been their message, or that was their message coming out of the Celtics game last Friday. But, yeah, orders of magnitude of difference between how these two teams have played to open the year. So I look at this as a killer instinct game. When Tyrese Maxey talks about the standard and we're going to set the tone every night and we're going to stand for something, I need to see some attention to detail in the areas they've been bad at. So they brought up on Friday their pickup points on defense, playing a little bit more pressure defense. Because the thing with Brooklyn playing a lot of young guards turn the ball over. You have to force them into turnovers. That fuels your transition game. That gets you easy buckets. The more you score, the earlier you score, Then you can get set up in your half-court defense. And when they've been able to get set up on defense, they've at least had stretches, the Sixers, where they've looked pretty good, where they are bought in, they're moving off the ball, they have the young legs and the want to, so they're making the second and third rotation. The transition defense has been awful.
Yes.
That has been probably the biggest, not position group, biggest category disappointment so far. You would have expected them to struggle to rebound. You'd expect them to have issues in other areas. There's no real reason they should be bad at transition defense. So that's something that I'm curious what the coaching staff is seeing in terms of what are our details that we're bad at right now. I don't see them being very good at the details almost anywhere there. They're bad at getting matched up. They don't often stop the ball. Frankly, a lot of times it's like if they have 2 back, the opponent has 3. It's just a lot of odd man rushes. So we'll see. That's something that this is a game I want to see them start to pick away at that problem because that's not something that can hold up over time.
And I like to see them punch first like they have in these games early on where not like Boston on Friday because that when Boston punched first and the Sixers just didn't have an answer there early. They found it later like they have. But I want to see them punch first. And with that defensive intensity often picks up. When you start to get points on the board, you find the energy on the defensive end after you start to score, and you get stops and you get rebounds, you get those empty possessions for your opponent. Now you're getting out in transition, and you are the one putting up that crooked number in the fast break opportunity. So if they can punch first, secure the rebounds, clean up the offensive rebound mess that has also hampered them, then I think they would be in a pretty good spot to do all the things that, Kyle, you're talking about there tonight. And what they're doing tonight, they're going to have to start this 3-game trip without Joel Embiid. So without Joel Embiid, he's out with, Kyle, you put it out yesterday that it was going to be a
planned absence
for Joel. And they have a back-to-back on Tuesday and Wednesday where they have the undefeated Chicago Bulls and then they have the Cleveland Cavaliers. So 2 good teams, 2 good games back-to-back where you would like for him to be available for one of those 2. We'll see how things play out here, but he's not there. And also now getting the update with Dominic Barlow from Brooklyn that Dominic Barlow with the laceration in the elbow still not available to play tonight against the Brooklyn
Perhaps
Nets.
He's just the victim of the Sixers curse for this year, and he took that on to save VJ, in which case I really salute you, Dominic Barlow, for being such a team guy. Yeah, that one's a weird one because it went from he gets ruled out with the laceration, and you hear that, and then you talk to people in the locker room, and at the time, right after it happened, it was, oh yeah, it's a cut. Like, he's going to be okay. Like, no big deal. And then we get the news, oh, he's out for 2 games. Oh, he's out for another 2 more games now. And then Nick Nurse addresses the media in Brooklyn tonight and says something to the effect of, this is taking longer to heal than we expected. And it's like, here we go again with the Sixers and injury reporting.
Somewhere there's a hockey fan going, that's a 1-shift injury in hockey.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It must be a huge gash that he simply cannot function, even if they put some sort of whatever they put on there and then a compression sleeve to cover it up. We often talk about making fun of the players wearing these shooting sleeves for whatever reason. There's nothing to it except for just the fashion part.
Because Iverson did it.
Yeah, exactly. He actually needs one, and it doesn't seem like that's helping out right now. So we'll see if he's able to jump back in on this trip against Cleveland or Chicago, maybe later in the week, next week, when they do return home. But this is one that they need him. So even after coming out of that Boston game, guys, we didn't get a chance to talk, but they missed Dominic Barlow. And who would have
100%.
thought that when they signed him in the offseason and even at the start of training camp that we would be talking about him in this manner of, to your point earlier, of he might have to stay in the starting lineup. And just simply after they lose a game by 1 point and they get beat on the glass the way that they did on the offensive end, man, they missed Dominic Barlow. Didn't expect to say that, but here we are. That's how important Dominic Barlow is to this basketball team. He really is.
No, he's a very key defensive piece.
Defensive and rebounding piece, just overall. Because on the offensive glass, he has done a really good job of helping them keep possessions alive and get those second chance opportunities. All right, also with Joel Embiid, Jules, let's just show the first one that Kyle tweeted out with the NBA coming down on Joel Embiid for a celebration.
A lewd gesture.
You knew what was going to happen when he did it. And here we are that he's fined $50,000 for his celebration after getting, what was it, an and one? And he gets fouled. He does his normal chop celebration.
The DX chop.
Yeah, and he then tweeted out the first one, which was, yeah, the NBA, I'm going to need you to start focusing on the officials that also do the same thing. And when are they going to get held accountable? Then he followed up with the great, what is it, Bill Kennedy?
Yes, doing the double charge move or the double block.
Yes, he's like, NBA. Bill Kennedy does it. Why is he not getting fined? Joel, just stop doing it, man.
I was going to say, like, he is making a choice here, right? I don't care whether he does it or not. The NBA has ultimately determined they don't like it and they don't want him to do it. So he has a choice. You can either not do it and not get fined, or you can continue to do it and you're going to get fined. There's really no gray area here. I don't care one way or another. I'm not going to sit here and be the morality police with the suck it motion, right? You do whatever you want to do, Joel. Just understand there are consequences. And a lot of people were like, this is the best sign yet that Joel is back because he's trolling on Twitter and all this stuff. It's an argument that a little kid would make. It's here's this thing that looks vaguely like what I'm doing that has a very different connotation than I know what I'm doing as. Why aren't they getting in trouble? He knows better.
Yeah, he does.
It's good fun.
You're not getting away with one of those chops now, like after calling it out with the tweet. Like you're
you're getting a call from the
league, on the radar, buddy. Yes, you are not hiding.
You've been on the radar, and now you're just like, look at me more. Come on, bring the attention. So Joel Embiid, just stop doing it. Find another celebration, man. We've seen you do other celebrations. Do those, and $50,000 later in your pocket. Save that money. Save it. All right.
We have lost a lot of celebrations over the years, though. No big balls dance. Yeah. No gambling related celebrations.
Do you think Sam Cassell?
No dice roll that you can throw out there. No card games.
Do you think Sam Cassell did that during the media game, though?
He didn't play, did he?
Oh, didn't he?
I don't think he played.
I think that's he's graduated from the you're going to play in a coach's media game.
Nah, he didn't.
If he was ever like Sam Cassell, too good for those games at any point of his life.
But
yeah. All right, let's get to our Bet365 pregame picks. Our pregame picks segment brought to you by Bet365. Use code PHLY365. Whatever the moment's never ordinary at Bet365. 2 picks for everybody so far in the season. 5 games, 4 for 5 in the 5 games. Let's see if we can keep that good streak going right here. A same game parlay, everybody, plus 140. The Sixers to win. The spread was 5. So I just went with, I'll take the 5. Give me the 5. I'll take the 5. And the VJ Edgecombe, 15 plus points. Give me that at plus 140. Every Sunday, I'm taking that one. Derek, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we just talked earlier that VJ should have a big game for a million different reasons. I think that should be a safe bet, which means it's probably going to end up going the other way because Devon always loses.
It's been working. It's been going well. 4 or 5 so far, Kyle. I'm keeping this
rolling.
And especially against this Nets team that we just talked about is really bad. So you should go out there.
I just feel like
Devon, if you hit this, you got to do the finger guns. Another band celebration
with the foam finger
in
on.
the NBA.
I'll do it. I'll do that post game if this one hits. Again, make sure you go to Bet365. And this is our pregame picks brought to you by Bet365. Sign up, use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Deposit 10, place a bet for 5. You get $300 in bonus bets. Win or lose, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. All right, that'll do it for us, everybody. We'll be back after the game, 10 minutes after the clock goes 0. Will the Sixers pick up win number 5 and get back to the W's and no L's, especially against a team like the Brooklyn Nets? We'll talk to you after the game. For Derek, Kyle, Jules, and me, we'll be back. We'll see you after the game, Sixers Nets. We'll talk to you later here on the PHLY Sixers postgame show.
We all silly like the mayor.